Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Frankie, look alive. Pose for the camera. This is his sad look. This is his perky look. Perky. He loves it when I do that. Maybe not. Well, my first client's gonna be late, so I have a few minutes to talk. I've been waiting to get on here all morning. We had our little walk, and I didn't even have, don't start with me. Can you hear that high-pitched sound he makes sometimes when I'm on here talking to, well, he can't figure it out. He doesn't know I'm trying to have a conversation with the invisible people. I think he worries about me. He's been such a good companion through this whole cancer ordeal. Very, very, very good boy. Very good boy. I hear you. He's non-expressive, but he'll get his point across one way or another, whether it's shaking his head, that little high-pitched whine, or that little pouty sound. Yeah. So, where's my coffee? Ah, okay. I'm still here. Okay, so, let's see. I have to look at my calendar. I don't know why I don't do these videos after I'm already done at my desk when I can really think about some literate things to say. But I thought I'd give you an update on my health situation. So, several months ago, it's been about, this is basically beginning of October. Let's see, I'll look at my timeline, but let's just say 6 months ago. I found a lump right here, and I researched it. The place, I was curious about it because it was attached to my rib. I thought breast tumors were supposed to be floating. So I found out a lot more about, excuse me, about cancer than I wanted to do, than I ever thought I would know, other than listening to clients and their situations. I would research that a little bit just so I could keep up with the conversation. I have never had a long-term cancer patient. I usually meet them at end of life during hospice, or I meet them before they actually have treatment and go through the process with them, and then they find more support with other cancer survivors in their groups, and usually get a counselor if they go on to do individual counseling other than the group counseling with someone who's had cancer. It's just, regardless of what a rapport we've had, that I've been told it's just not the same. You just wouldn't be able to get it, and glad you don't, but I need someone who does on that spiritual paradigm, that spiritual level. Or the messy level, the self-pity, the anger, the whatever. And then, of course, there's the cancer patients who they get too mad and they don't want anything to do with anyone who's healthy. There's I've had quite a few. Some I have been with through the hospice and death stage, but those usually go pretty fast. By the time I meet them, I've never had one really from just as a normal client coming in for normal reasons through to death with cancer or chronic disease. So it's been interesting to go through this myself. And I can see why people going through cancer would start having kind of a hard-on towards people who don't know what it's like, because you can just assume the care, the compassion, the concern isn't there. It's like, I don't think we need empathy so much as we need someone who says, hey, how you doing? And means it. And is willing to listen. I think that's the one thing about being genuine. I have a hard time not being genuine because I have found out that when I'm not genuine, people can tell I'm being a fake really easy. Because I'm just one of those people who wears my face on my sleeve, right? My face on my sleeve. Yeah, I can say whatever it is I'm going to say, but one of two things are going to happen. One, you can read my face and tell I'm lying. Even if you don't call me on it, you'll behave as if you know the truth, and I can tell. And I hate that feeling. The other thing is, if I say, for instance, I call in sick on something, I will get sick. It happened in school and it's happened in adulthood. There is no calling in sick for me. And it's not really in my ethical code anyway, so why bother? It just doesn't work for me. Okay, so a lot going on. I'll catch you up on the whole cancer deal. So, had the cancer. It was almost 6 weeks before I got my first appointment to have the lump looked at. Then it was another 3 weeks to get, and then I got x-rays right away, and they found, they didn't find anything in that x-ray, but because you could feel, or did they see just one of two? But the lump was like this big when I first found it. And by the time I went in, I had already been on fenbendazole and ivermectin and a pile of supplements for 6 to 8 weeks. By the time I got that first x-ray. They didn't find much, and it was the full x-ray. I mean, it was a set of x-rays times 3. I don't know what they call it, but it's similar to that. I don't know. So that's a lot of x-ray. Well, then, because they just felt iffy about it, they decided they wanted to do a sonogram. Well, in the sonogram, they wanted to do it with aspiration. That's where they go in with a little, whatever utensil they use, but it's very small, microscopic, but they go in, insert it into the tumor, and it goes in like this, opens up, takes something out, and then it pulls out. So I said no to the aspiration. And I really got kind of a hard time about that. So we had to cancel that appointment and make it somewhere else out of town where they were willing to do that. So I went in for the sonogram, and while I was there, the lady she found in that tumor, turns out there were 2 little ones. She found the one, but couldn't find the other one. And I'm like, it's right here. She kept going everywhere else, but right over it. And I was just like, I don't know if you know what that feels like, but it's very frustrating when you're saying, it's close, move, no, this way, it's close. It was so frustrating. My spouse was in there, and he was able to see it on the screen, and he had felt the lump originally. I was like, feel this. So anyway, they decided to go ahead and do a mammogram while I was there. It's like, okay, fine. That's fine. See if they could find the other lump and to get a better picture of this one. Once again, weirdly, I was able to sneak in. I'm like this. I was able to sneak in and look over the shoulder on all 3 of these. The sonogram is right there. You just look over your shoulder. The x-ray, you look at it before they send it. The mammogram, she didn't want to show it to me. Oh, you can sit over there. No, I'm fine over here. And I got a little peek at it just before she sent it. And really, they all showed the same thing. Tiny little black spot on the screen. So the doctor said he wanted to go in and do a biopsy because they want to see what kind of cancer it is. And, while they're in there, they might just remove it, but they should do a biopsy. Well, I had been taking that medicine so long, I believe that's the reason why it had shrunk down to the size. On the top, it feels bigger. I want you to know that in case you ever get a lump that's kind of attached to your bone area. There's inflammation on the top of it where it's like a nest, in my view. I don't know exactly what it is. I'm not here to teach you about cancer. It's just my experience. So by the time I got the results back from the sonogram and the mammogram, they said that, and all the x-rays, I have advanced arthritis and I have a tumor the size of a piece of rice. Those weren't the words on the test, but that's how I was able to analyze it. So I felt the physical change, the physical shrinkage, and I knew the medicines I was taking were well researched. I've shared that with you. And I felt like the treatment I was doing was successful. So when I turned down the biopsy, I said what I would like to do, even if I paid for it myself, because by now I'm on cash payments with my doctor because he's a nurse practitioner who I really like. And I liked him because he would take time with you in the office instead of just triple book you and get you out. So he wasn't taking my insurance anymore, so I said, well, I'll do cash. So if you've been watching, you know that I was really disappointed when they wanted to do an MRI with contrast, that ink they put through your body. I had already done one several years ago when I had an issue with my heart. And I just didn't want to do it again. I mean, dang. If you don't have to, why would you? So I had read that you can have it done without. And I was sure I had had an MRI when it came to and a CAT scan of my head without the ink years ago. And I thought I had one of my stomach years ago when I had trouble with my stomach. I've had health issues and they usually turn out healed by the end of the day. So it was very interesting to go through these head trips each time I go through something. So anyway, make a long story a little longer. I'm sorry. I could not find a place, kept making different phone calls. I couldn't find a place to do the MRI without contrast. They said, we're going to do it without contrast, but we're also going to do it with contrast. I said, well, just do it without and don't do it within. And they were very irritated. So I said, well, I'm going to call my doctor and see what we can figure out. And they just refused to do it. They were going to do it their way. And that's when I started really finding a lot more stories. And if you put in MRIs without contrast, you'll start pulling up videos about people saying they want it without contrast and can't. Some people can find people to do it cash, but I couldn't find an oncologist that I could get past the receptionist with to make an appointment without a biopsy. And I could not find a place to do an MRI without contrast. They're locking down on how they insist on treating cancer. So be very aware of that. If you get cancer or you have cancer or you have had cancer, I would love to hear from you. And also, I joined the Cancer Crew. They have a few, I found them on YouTube while I was looking around. They don't have a lot of videos, I don't think, on YouTube, but they've got a few because they're busy working on their webpage, helping support people who have cancer. Very, very good people. And Hey. I know. I'm a bad doggy mommy. They have a great website, community for people dealing with cancers of all kinds, undergoing all kinds of treatments. We share our stories. It's kind of like group therapy, only it's a little more orientated, more so around the medical process and treatment, but it's also very supportive if you do end up sharing something personal. Like I've shared some of my rants and a couple other people will chime in and go, oh, I know how that feels. It's like someone shared, and I was just going through this situation. They shared that every time they have breast cancer and every time they roll in bed and feel a discomfort, they think, oh my God, the beast is growing. And I was like, oh my God, I just had that experience for the first time. That was crazy. I was so grateful someone had mentioned that that's how they felt, because it's just, thank goodness. Anyway, I had decided I was going to take the cancer deal in my own hands And I've been going down to a place called Any Lab Test Now. And so I've been tested with all the medications I've been taking, my own non-prescription medications, and supplements. They said keep an eye on your liver for overload. So that's what I've been doing. Now I'm kind of going all over this. I know I've been going through this with you, and those of you who are new to the channel, I'm kind of giving you this recap. Those who've been here, I know I'm boring you. That's okay. You know, I repeat myself anyway. So I've done a lot. I've done a lot to work on this situation. And when I took the breast cancer test and it showed breast cancer cells in the test, it said, now remember, I'd already been on medication, the fenbendazole and ivermectin and methylene blue, turkey tail, some other things. I don't know if I had started the ECAT yet. Maybe not. Anyway, it said cancer cells do not panic in the analysis. Well, it showed cancer cells in the red, and I put it in the Grok and the Chat GPT AI. You can have tests analyzed. You can have anything analyzed and ask it a question. What does this mean in layman's terms? And it said it's showing cancer cells. Do not panic. Just contact your doctor. Stay calm. It's so cute. So anyway, I decided I wanted, if that was the breast cancer one, I wanted to know the other cancer one. So I'm getting to the plot line. I'm getting to the point. So remember when I told you I tried the Galleri test? It's like $945. It's supposed to test for a pile of different cancers, because I was concerned that because this is sort of on my rib, then it would be bone cancer or a feeder, like the mother with the daughters going out searching for new places to land. So that's why I took it, is I wanted to see if there were other cancers besides breast cancer in my body. That was my big worry, is I shouldn't say worry, it was more of a curiosity. I just wondered what this battle was that I was fighting. I wanted to know my enemies, kind of thing. Because I hadn't gotten to the point yet where, until, I don't know, I've been trying to get here to that place where this isn't a battle with enemies. This is about me repairing the damage that I did to my body. And is it too late to repair it? Or is this the way I go out? I was just trying to figure all that out. And turns out my Galleri test came in yesterday morning, but I was afraid to look at it because I had clients all day and I didn't want to get upset. I had a pretty good feeling about it though, because based on the research I did, to have been pretty close to none. It had to be very close to none, no matter what kind of cancer it was. I mean, unless it was something freaking sneaky, which, I don't know, there was that edge to my angst. Well, it was 98.8% negative. No cancer. And so I called the clinic and was like, that's all that this $1,000 report can tell me? The test is to see, she says, well, if you scan into the next page, you can see all the cancers it tests for. And those showed nothing. But we can't say it's 100% negative. We have to leave room for error, just in case. So always follow up with your doctor. But she said, she explained to me how cancer sheds cells as it's growing. It like the cells of your skin, your biggest organ, sheds dead skin, dead cells. So she says it tests for those, that basically in my head, waste product. So if there's no waste product, you can't have a living organism. I mean, even mold, it breathes, it exhales, and then it spreads spores also. I mean, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. I learned so much, and I can't even remember some of the things I learned. It's just fascinating, the things that I learned. So anyway, she said, so there's not a list with how many cells they found or the percentages they found, because they found no percentages. How about that? Cancer free. So my head is still wrapping around it. My head is still wrapping around it. I put my liver through a lot dealing with this. But my liver's getting better every day. It's almost normal. I'll probably test it one more time this weekend. I've been doing it every Friday since I started. Just think of all the money I'm going to save from all these supplements and medications and blood tests. Oh my God, I've spent a small fortune. But I was in charge of my own body. I was in charge of making my own damn decisions. Can you believe the medical professional telling you, all these medical professionals telling you how they're going to treat you instead of saying, how would you like to be treated? God, you hear so much about conspiracy theories, and then you go through this whole COVID thing, and you're like, damn, those people were right. You go through a serious health condition, like having cancer get out of control. I mean, we all have cancer cells in our body. It's just whether they're triggered to overpopulate. That's what I found out. How about them apples? So the way you treat your body and the way you don't treat your body add up to food for certain cells in your body. So lots of sugar and certain feeds cancer. They love sugar. Those cells love sugar. And then if you're eating all these other things, they wear down your immune system to where you don't have the ability to fight those little cancer cells that like to try to get out of control. So your body's not able to say, hey, you calm down, we got this. All those additives to foods, they're like poison in your system. So I don't know. It's all very interesting. So I'm still trying to absorb that there's 0 cancer cells in my body. I'm just I want to be proud of myself for how I handled this with intelligence, analyzed the situation, made decisions that I've decided I could live with. And I was able to conquer the beast. I love winning. I love being right. And I love feeling good. So my energy level is returning. Boy, when you're hard on your liver, I feel like I'm forgetting something in my makeup. I don't know. But when you're hard on your liver, it will wear you out. And those liver tests, they're only $49 at any lab test now. What else? Oh, okay. So here's what I wanted to say when I first started getting on here talking about being genuine is I had to be careful to not get caught up in what other people thought of how I was caring for myself. I also decided I didn't have to share what I was going through with everyone, because I experimented with it. Even with my closest friends, I experimented with sharing just enough. Like, yeah, I found a lump. The doctor's kind of trying to get me to get into some appointments. And you know, sometimes even your closest friends, they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle the C word. Just want you to know. I mean, I was kind of hurt by it. And then I realized, well, it scares them. It's scary. So many people don't survive it. Or if they do survive it, it's kind of a lie. They survive it for, they ring the bell. And then maybe for a year or two, I'm cancer free. And then there's all this celebration, and then they get it again. And then they get caught up in the spiral of, what do I do now? And then it usually comes back with a vengeance. Why? Well, I find that the treatment for the original cancer is so hard on the body. The body has no way to fight health challenges. And so cancer has a playing ground. Now that's just my layman's conversation for what I've learned. If you learned something different, I'd love to hear from you. But if you're a doctor trying to argue with me on how I treated me, I'm proud of myself. And I'm proud of all those people who shared their story before me. The last thing I wanted to do was go through all this sickening cancer and radiation. There are some people who went through it with grace, but most people don't. A lot of people don't even talk about how horrible it is because they were actually suicidal. That it can really mess with you. And that's how this Carly and her husband got started sharing her story. And Joe Tippins, well, he wasn't suicidal, but Carly, she's a wonderful, beautiful woman who, she is an influencer and health and fitness influencer. And so when she went through it and started processing it in the way she was, it was like, this is not her. And so her and her husband did some research on it, but she went through a lot to get to a place where she was able to even find out about Joe Tippin's protocol or Mr. Rasmussen's or some of the doctors from that have been interviewed on the Dr. John Campbell's channel on YouTube. There's a lot of information out there, but just like during COVID, you got to search for it, find it by accident. Maybe you get lucky and find it, but I was trying to find a particular interview a while back that is several years old that should be very easy to find, and it took me a while to find it. It should have just popped right up. Joe Tippins did an interview with a couple renowned doctors who've also, I think all three of them had had cancer, and it was April of this year, and I had a tough time finding that video for somebody. Now listen, I'm not telling you how to do your cancer. You do you. Some people will not feel like they're taking care of business if they don't go through the mainstream treatment. But watch. It's x-ray, biopsy, surgery, chemo, radio, or radiation, radio. For everyone? For everyone? A lot of stories out there. Some people go through it smooth sailing. And some people go through it the way I described earlier, where it goes and comes and goes and comes and goes and comes, because you're tearing your body down. I just don't want to die like that. I don't want to die in pain. I can tell you this. Frankie, quit. Enough. Good boy. If I were in pain, horrible chronic pain, and could not function, we would be having a whole different conversation, with or without cancer treatment from mainstream medicine or my own track. But I wasn't in pain. That's much different. Some people are in cancer mode and are in pain. There are some people who are doing mainstream medicine and secretly doing this as well. And it's supposed to help with chemo recovery. And some people are doing it and then stopping a day before chemo and then starting up again after chemo. So there's a lot of information out there. Don't take my advice. I'm not a doctor. But aren't you interested? Isn't it fascinating? Don't put your head in the sand. There are a lot of people who put their head in the sand around different medical issues that have been world famous, infamous over years. There are some people who deny it. There are some people who say, look, there's a volcano, the lava is coming. And they're like, I'm not leaving my land. Or there's a hurricane. I'm not leaving. There's a hurricane. Tell all those people on the beach to get off. And they're like, this is a fancy hotel. We're not telling our people to get off the beach. I mean, sometimes you don't know. Sometimes it's innocent. But sometimes you do, and they're going to just sit there and go, I'm not going. What the hell? So I'm just saying, keep an open mind. Do some research. If you're interested in all the stuff that I took, I'll do a video on that one of these days. I just have to have enough privacy in the house to be able to do that. But if you want to know, you can email me. My email is up there, and I can take pictures of the different things I've taken. I can maybe send you a daily schedule of what I've taken. I'll help in any way I can. But I also will highly recommend right now, because of getting in on the bottom up. I joined the Cancer Crew for $100. And I don't know how long that's going to last. And I think it's not just for the year. I think it's a founder's fee, kind of, or founder's membership price, which would mean $100, period. I'm not sure. Either way, it's worth the money. $100 a year is nothing, because it's the best therapy ever. Knowing that you're relating, and heck, you can leave a message 24 hours a day, and whoever sees it, somebody's going to answer. Even if it's Carly herself, or her husband. They've both replied to some of my questions, and given words of encouragement. So that's all I got. I got to get into work. I gotta go put this somewhere. And I will let you know, be real. Be real with yourself. There's something inside us, even when we're in a panic, that sometimes slips into being triggered from something from the past. Or, this is interesting, we will relate what we're going through with something we've seen on TV or in other people, and we emulate them. There's something called mirror neurons. It's where we're watching someone and we can kind of feel where they're at. It's kind of like also your bullshit meter, is you can kind of see somebody and you can all of a sudden start mirroring how they're acting, or you kind of say, oh, if I were acting like that, I know I would be ingenuine. I would be very self-centered. I mean, if you think someone's really relating to you, but then you notice they don't come back around, it's usually because they saw your intention was not genuine, whether you were nice or not, right? So when you're going through something dramatic, try to be yourself and try to relate to yourself in a way that says, am I responding in a way that's just supposed to be typical? Am I freaking out because, ooh, you have cancer, I gotta freak out? It's freaking out already all on its own. You don't have to take on somebody else's persona. Do this genuinely on your own, for yourself. Look for support, because that's important. But I mean, make decisions based on information, intelligence. What is wrong with my hair today? Yes, I'm genuine. This is me. Anyway, I'm just saying, don't shortchange yourself. It's hard enough to go through as it is, let alone going through it in a way that we feel like we're supposed to. And I can tell you, there are some friends that I kind of withdrew from because they weren't able to get on my ship with me. Yeah, that was lonely. But don't do it alone. Whatever you're going through, don't do it alone. If you have to pay for a therapist, hi baby, I'm sorry. See, he'll shake his head like that to get my attention. I'm sorry, honey. We'll go for another good walk later. Loneliness is one of the worst diseases a person can have. That's a true story. Oh, I hope you have a beautiful day. I gotta go. Bye for now.